Hey all, Rob here. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bells when future videos are out. And the topic of this is just another casual talk. And as I'm filming this, it's a topic I have thought about before, and I'm going to share it again. Why not this day? It's because when I look at Marvel and DC Comics, one of the big problems is, well, it's twofold, okay? First, they have become so writer and editor focused, and yet most of the stuff doesn't seem to have the energy that it used to have, the companies that when they focused on the artist of the equation. Remember, you look back at the 60s, you think Jack Kirby,
Steve Ditko.
you think John Romita, you think Gene Colan, you think Neil Adams, John Buscema, John Byrne, Frank Miller. And then you get to the Image guys, right? In the late 80s, early 90s. You know, it's people like that, it's the artists I named that drove those decades, that did the inspirational work that even now, decades later, we still admire and want those omnibus or epic books of those entire runs. Okay? Work that even decades later is still admired. And I look at work now. Who for the past 10 to 20 years, other than the Image guys, but like who in the past decade really, who are the inspirational artists that are moving the industry? And from what I see, is really nobody's moving the industry. Remember, let's say the last amazing run were the Image guys at Marvel before they left and when Image Comics first formed those early years. Everything they had, every book they were on was like magic. It sold hundreds of thousands, if not millions of copies. Record setting here. Fresh ideas. Inspiring work. But where are those artists now? The new generation that are making work that is truly inspirational. What you see is they're collecting the books by writers and saying that this work is amazing. Yet I have to wonder, if it is so amazing, why do I have no desire to own any of it as a reader? How much of the stuff now that they're trying to praise the writers and editors as amazing work, how much of the stuff now is going to be fondly remembered in 20 years? Not much is the reality. I'm not going to say nothing, but I'm going to say not much. It's really artists who have always moved the comic industry in terms of runs that will be fondly remembered. And it's been that way since the Silver Age. The Golden Age is kind of weird when you look at it, so it's not really fair to compare. But really, since the Silver Age, it has been the artists who have drove the industry, who have made the big changes and the inspiration. And we don't have that now. We really don't. We don't have two or three, much less like Image, like 6 to 8 people all working at the same time, driving a company. Don't get me wrong. There are some artists who do great work, but also there are a lot of artists by Marvel and DC who, in my opinion, should not be working for the big two companies. It looks amateurish. It looks unpolished. And they're not seasoned enough, and they shouldn't be working at Marvel or DC. That's my view on it. But I'm not going to name who. So there's definitely people. I mean, just pick up the racks and look through it at your comic store. There's definitely artists working today who should not be working for the number one and number two publisher in the industry. And with these lack of artists, this lack of creativity, and giving the artist free rein to tell their story and to create, it has relied on the editors and the writers to tell the story. And I just don't think they're doing great work. They're not doing stuff that will be remembered. Time is the big indicator, which you can't predict. That what stuff made in the past 5 years or even now will be recalled with admiration, that will be inspiring. And it's not going to be much. I think one day a future generation of comic books is still around, the big two companies, that they'll look back on the past decade plus as wasted years overall. Part of the problem is all of these endless crossovers and connected storylines. Both companies have done that gimmick too much that it has worn away any specialness it used to have. It's not special anymore when a bunch of heroes get together to fight a big cosmic threat. When they do this every year, if not 2 times a year or 3. So huge crossovers of all the heroes meeting, it means a lot less when it's happening all the time. And will DC shut up about a crisis event already? They've been milking the crisis word since the 1980s. Every event they do now in the past couple of years has been some type of crisis event with that word in the title. Move on already. Get something creative. You've been living off that 1980s storyline for the past couple of years. And they're not letting up because they have another event as I'm making this video with the same type of theme. As for Marvel, it's one huge storyline after the next after the next. Those type of storylines don't mean much when you don't have a big rest period in between events. It used to be you used to get a big event once a year at Marvel. That was enough. That's not enough anymore. They want to put endless events for you. And the final topic is, when it comes to creativity, I really don't think you're going to see artists or writers or creators that make a dozen new heroes and villains from Marvel or DC. In other words, you're not going to have a creator who makes a dozen brand new characters. And I'm not talking spin-off characters like a Red Hulk who's based on the Hulk and cannot exist on his own from another company. Or let's say Falcon Cap or Bucky. You can't create these characters on another company because they're either spin-offs or related to an established Marvel hero already. We're not talking a brand new character, something that is not related to anybody, an original idea. You're not going to see like a dozen new characters, heroes or villains created by a creator to contribute to Marvel or DC. And the reason why is, why should someone do that when you could own your work at Image Comics or self-publish, and you could own the rights, you can license it, you can make money, get a movie deal or whatever. Then if you give it to Marvel and DC and you get a small percent, if even that. There is no financial reason to give your best ideas to Marvel or DC. There is absolutely none. Better to save it and to learn from what happened to past artists and writers. But you see, that's the problem. If Marvel and DC don't have new characters, if they don't have new ideas, then they're not growing. Their best characters that have had movies are like Deadpool, Venom, Bane, Carnage. These are 30-plus-year-old characters. They were created in the early 1990s. Who in the past, in the 2000 decade, the 2010-plus decade, which new amazing characters have been around? Now, you could say Miles, the copy Spider-Man. You could say Spider-Gwen. But they're just all derived and cheap rip-offs of Spider-Man. If Spider-Man doesn't exist, those two characters don't exist. Bucky was just, the Winter Soldier was just a revamped Bucky. That's all he is. Taken in a different direction, but it is still Bucky at the base. Red Hulk is just a Hulk, but I'm talking brand new characters that are not related. And there's almost none. Marvel has been living off these spin-off characters, and that's the best they could do creatively. It's like Deadpool, Cable, were probably like their best pure characters, and Venom and Carnage were like their best new ideas, and Bane, stuff like that. But those are 30-year-old characters, you know. And so in the past 30 years, since the 1990s and the early Image days, there hasn't been much showing that's truly lasted. It kind of sucks when you think about it, that's the state of the industry. But it's like I said, it's the artists who drive the business. And there's not many of them powering the industry. Will there be another revolutionary age of inspiring decade of Marvel or DC Comics? Maybe. But it's not going to happen anytime soon. It hasn't happened in maybe 30 years. And so that's the video. Thanks for watching. I hope you subscribe if you haven't. Stay safe, my friends, and I will talk to you later.